Smart means business does continue. New week comes in with new aspirations, like I did say, and new visions as well as new goals. Now, when speaking about the fact that agriculture is a sector in Uganda where mostly we get where the backbone of the country is, and by 2020, according to the UBOS estimation, that is the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, that about 70% of Uganda's working population was employed in agriculture. That is by August 2020. Now, Uganda, which produces a wide range of agriculture products, including coffee, tea, sugar, livestock, fish, edible oils, cotton, tobacco, plantains, corn, beans, cassava, name it, is actually one of those countries that benefit so much when it comes to agriculture. And in terms of that, the government has actually looked into the way that we can actually engage the youth into agriculture. Now we head into our topic of the day, which is actually saying, how can the youth engage in agricultural activities? Which way can we encourage the young people or the young generation out there to actually engage more in agriculture when it comes to that? Because we definitely say that agriculture is one of the things that way back from time immemorial that our grandparents as well as our great-grandfathers were actually very proud of being part of the agriculture sector, part of it. And I do remember most of you, even during school times, you would go back for holidays and engage into agricultural practices, where some of the young people out there never wanted to even get attached to to going into the garden or actually get to use a hoe. I do remember the first time I think I started using a hoe, like serious digging or getting into cultivation, was when I was in my Form 2, and around then I was around 14 years back then, some few years back. So I could definitely look at that and see that it was actually hectic to me. I was biased towards agriculture, and I never wanted to attach myself to it. One, I would definitely look at it as a sector of the underprivileged, or people who actually didn't attend school. That was my view back then, because I would definitely see myself sitting in expensive offices, sitting in expensive places and sitting there. And little did I know that agriculture is actually being utilized by even the people who have actually made it big when it comes to business entities in Uganda. And you could definitely see that among the youth who actually have no love for agriculture at all, it has become a very huge challenge in terms of the energy that the young people have. If at all we get this energy and invest it into these young people, we can definitely get something out of it. We can get huge produce when it comes to that, huge harvests when it comes to that, and huge investments in the agricultural sector, because the young people actually despise agriculture in that perspective, and young people out there are still wondering why. So all right, now we do have our own a guest who is actually joining us in this particular conversation. Mr. Kato, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
All right, Mr. Kato, thank you for joining us on Smart Means Business. Now, what we do have today is that we're talking about the fact that the youth have actually despised agriculture, and we would want to look into a way that which possibilities can we lay on board to see that this youth can actually engage in agricultural activities. And I would want to put you into this particular situation where I would want you to help me out with this. Why do you think young people despise agriculture in Uganda?
The names of Kato Jude from BMT Farm. Now, in my own view, why the youth despise agriculture is agriculture has had a not so good packaging. Why? When we were in school, agriculture would be used as a form of punishment. You've done something wrong, get a hoe and dig. So we grew up with that mentality, thinking agriculture is bad and it's used as a punishment. So we didn't really value it so much. Then two, we have looked at it as a business for failures. We've looked at it as a business that does not earn, because You look at the majority of the people, as you said, 70% of Ugandans are into agriculture. We look at a person in the village, he wakes up in the morning, goes to the farm, grows beans. By the time he goes to the market, a kilo of beans is 1,500. So looking at it as a business and as a form that can bring in money, the youth have not embraced it. That's my second way why I see the youth have not engaged into agriculture. The third reason is the youth, especially of nowadays, we are not patient. Agriculture is not like a business where at the end of the month you will chip in, you'll have money. You won't. You just have to first be patient, know what you're doing, and then give it time to grow, give it time to give you returns. But when we want this money that comes every now and then when we go with that mindset into agriculture, we can't survive. Agriculture, it pays, it's good, but the packaging, the way we're exposed to it when we're at school, and the lack of patience in the youth, really, that's why most of them don't go into agriculture.
To help me introduce yourself, because a viewer here would want to know where you're situated and what do you do normally as you, before we do proceed.
I introduce myself once again. I'm called Kato Jude. I'm from BMT Farm. BMT Farm is found in southwestern Uganda, particularly Isingiro district. And I'm engaged in agriculture. Right now where I'm seated, I'm in my rabbitary. You can see in the background. So I deal in rabbits, I deal in passion fruits, I deal in vanilla, I deal in banana plantation, I deal in cassava and pumpkin. So I'm a full-time farmer. That's the little insight I can give you.
How many young people do you employ on your farm over there, and how many youth are actually there? Because I could definitely tell you're a youthful man, and but I would want to understand how many young people do you have on your farm currently?
Currently, the farm employs 4 permanent workers, and we employ about 10 non-permanent workers that come, provide a service, and go.
Are they still in their youthful stages? Like, are they still young men out there who are engaging in agriculture, or you're using people in their retirement ages? Because I want to look into this to see whether you're actually having young people on your farm.
Yeah, no, most of them are young people, because the ultimate goal is to inspire my community to make the youth earn a living. So right now, most of them are in their youthful stage, 22 years to 28, and they're the ones that I'm engaged in, and the ones I employ at the farm.
We move on to the next one. Do you think it is lack of knowledge or skills for the youth to actually have capacity into the agricultural sector? Do you think there is some lack of knowledge and necessary skills to actually engage into the agriculture?
Yeah, but not on a bigger extent. Because when we look at what the youth need for now, the factors of production, capital. You can't engage in agriculture when you don't have capital. And most of the youth now, it's not available. If it's available, then it comes at a higher expense. So it's not only the lack of knowledge and skill, but we have capital. 2, we have land. Many youth don't have land. If they have it, it's for their parents, it's for the family. And it being for the family, they don't have decision making on the land. So land is also a big factor. Third is information. Now, information comes through ICT, and general information. Because, for example, we need apps where I can go as a youth, post what I have, and sell to someone who is in Germany. We need information. If I want to be engaged into, for example, rabbits, do I have information from the feeding, from the rearing, from the cage construction way up? So information and ICT are also lacking. That's why sometimes we have bumper harvests when the prices are low. Why? Because we are all concentrated in one market and we don't have the information to probably be like the Chinese. The Chinese are in China, but their products are all over the world. So even if in the country where they are, there is not enough market, but is able to sell and survive. So we need ICT and information to help the youth also engage effectively in agriculture. The fourth factor is water, irrigation schemes. It's a huge factor that cuts across. There is no agricultural project that you can put across when you don't have water. If the water is seasonal, then it means you will have bumper harvests somewhere, prices will be low, prices when are high, when you could have benefited, you don't have what to sell. So if the government can chip in, put up irrigation schemes and avail water, that would also help the farmers and the youth to engage into agriculture. The fourth issue is planning. Why do I say planning? I have what I normally tell the youth that I engage in. It's called pyramid scheme agriculture. Pyramid scheme agriculture means you are engaged in agricultural activities that will give you income in a short run, in the middle run, and in the long run. For example, let me put it into a better perspective. Short run, I have my rabbits here. If someone came today, I would sell and get 50,000. I have money now. I can grow my crops. 3 months, I harvest, I have the money. Middle, you could engage into banana plantation, for example, and maybe vanilla for 3 years. Okay. Long term, you can go into forests, you can go into eucalyptus. Now, how does this pyramid scheme farming help us? It means that with the uncertainties into the agriculture sector, as I told you about, especially the water issue, at some point, you'll find that you're earning almost either daily or weekly. Now, if I planted my forest now, my trees now, it means in 20, 30 years, when I don't have the energy, I'll still earn in agriculture. If I planted my banana now, plantation, it means in 2-3 years, I'll earn from it. If I have my rabbits now, it means I have the money to buy a shirt. So with that strategy, the pyramid scheme planning, that is so important for the youth to know it. Otherwise, if you engage into one sector or one crop or one enterprise, God forbid it fails, the youth will simply lose out. But if you plan, multitask, and especially come up with this pyramid scheme agriculture, surely you won't fail. So it's not all about the lack of knowledge and skill, but it's a whole lot other things involved into agriculture. That's how I can look at it.
How have you found that in the fact that when we're living in the country where most of such businesses in rearing of certain animals may definitely find a very big difficult in tapping into the market, into the ready market, if I told them to put it in that way. How have you formed the business, and how is the rabbit business in Uganda right now? Because you're currently next to your rabbits that you're rearing and you're keeping. So first take us through that business before we do head into Mr. Nicholas.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Now, the rabbit business is a business that has a lot of untapped potential. One, if I asked you as an individual, have you ever tested rabbit meat? You would say yes. Maybe I tested it when I was young. Are you willing to test it again? You would say yes, but it's not available. So it's a good opportunity. It's a very huge opportunity. And right now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get as many farmers as possible. Because right now the demand of rabbit meat in Uganda is almost half a ton per month, of which with that, we don't have even 20% that we are providing. So what we are doing, we are rallying farmers. Right now we have an organization. It has about 20 farmers for now. And within a year, we shall be able to produce more than 1.2 tons of rabbit meat, which can satisfy the market. So, as I said before, when you do your research, when you know how the market will turn up, and when you make groups of so many people so that you don't bring about a gap in the supply, which will bring up, which will in turn affect the demand, then you're good to go. But for the rabbitary, it's a good project, and I have so much hope in it. Yeah.
Mr. Kato, when it comes to that, you know, I'm into that situation where I'm actually asking myself, I have some conflicting loyalty. I'm like, have I ever tested rabbit's meat before? No, I haven't. Just remember I haven't. But I would want to test rabbit's meat one time and see how sweet it is, how tasty it does actually appeal to my tongue or to my tummy as well. I'll definitely be looking into that as well. You did mention it's actually a very huge challenge to any viewer out there. Now, still moving on, Mr. Nicholas, are you hearing me? Mr. Nicholas? You're hearing me? Okay. Now, still also joining us on SMB, we do have Mr. Nicholas. Thank you for joining us on Smart Means Business. Could you please give an intro of yourself and what you're doing to the viewer out there?
I'm Nicholas from Uganda, but now
faulty, and we're trying to lose you somehow, but we're going to get back to you in a few. Now, I will go back to Mr. Kato, who's actually into the field of keeping the rabbits. I'd want to understand, he did mention about the rabbit business in Uganda, and which actually poses a very huge challenge to any one of us rather. I, for one, inclusive, if I'm to put it in that way. And Mr. Nicholas. All right, now I think we've lost Mr. Nicholas over there. We're trying so hard to actually get him and get to contact him. Now, let's get back to Kato in the southwestern part of Uganda, in Sinjiro, to actually talk more in regarding to business in agriculture in Uganda. Mr. Kato, I will definitely be heading back to Mr. Kato over there. Now, speaking of rabbit, you know, he was actually talking about the pyramid type of agriculture, or the pyramid model that the young people should actually adopt. In looking into the short term, long term, and also the current process to actually visualize yourself when it comes to agriculture, because it is one of the things that the young people out there do not want to take action into in regarding to that, and most of them are still scared, or I would say are biased towards agriculture, and we would definitely want to see that the young people who are still energetic or still have the vigor and also still have the energy when it comes to pushing hard and also making sure that we get enough produce in the agriculture could definitely take center stage. With a country that is benefiting on agriculture in 70% when it comes to the UBOS report, that is courtesy of the financial year 2020-2021. You could definitely see that we still have a very huge chance for the youth to actually engage more in agriculture and look at it in a way that it can actually also build up their business aspects in life. You know, normally what we do have as the youth is that we're actually facing a very huge challenge when it comes to looking into the short term. Normally we focus on the short term goals and forget about the long term. Which long term am I talking about here? Is look at maybe a period of 5 to 10 years. What are you going to achieve out of it? Because at the end of the day, you will definitely see that if you look at the only things that you're having currently, they may not give you what you want. Because in a situation where every young person out there thinks that the only chance of being in business is by going to town, seeking for a job. No, if at all you have a piece of land at home, you can definitely start up with a simple agriculture out there. We talk about agriculture, it means everything in agriculture, which includes animal rearing, it means poultry keeping into the same situation. And one day I did have a conversation with an elderly person who's actually in his retirement age, and he told me it's quite surprising for the young people out there who do not want, who actually despise agriculture. He put it in a way and told me that way back when he was still a young person, a young man with a lot of energy, and he was still renting his single in Kampala, in Kampala, one of Kampala's suburbs. He said the first thing he first started with in terms of agriculture was keeping a hen in his home. Not the home, but around his rental. So he could definitely buy a basket and keep his hen inside there. So every time he would shift, he had a number of hens with him. So the hen would definitely lay some eggs where he would actually use them for, you know, some breakfast, some lunch as well. So, and by the time, you know, he started expanding, by the time he found out that he could actually start up his home, he would definitely find that he could engage more in agriculture. So this goes back to the young people out there. If at all you have some small, you know, small money with you, you can invest slowly, simple investments in terms of agriculture. You can maybe buy yourself a goat. What I do know is a very young goat goes by a price of maybe 100 to 150,000. It depends on the person who is actually selling it. Or if someone can actually sell it to you at around 120, 1 to 50, it's 100 to 150. That particular price. You can buy yourself one goat, start rearing it at home in a simple grazing area, and you can definitely be getting results by the end of it. Speaking of even poultry keeping, people who are actually keeping hens at their homes, you could agree with me that most of the Africans, in the African setting, most of the people are actually having this in their homes as well. Now we actually go up to Mr. Kato, who is actually back with us right from Isingiro. He's going to be telling us what should the government do to encourage the youth. Now, Mr. Kato, I'm sorry, actually, we had lost you for some few minutes, but now we get back to you. What do you think should be done to actually engage these youth into agricultural activities? What should the government lay on board? Should the government actually be engaged into this, or is it supposed to start with the youth themselves? Take it from there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. In fact, that's a good question. Should the government be involved, or it should start with the youth? I think it's both-sided. When you look at almost half of the life we lead, we are into school. When you look at nursery, primary, secondary, university, some go with masters. Now, that's entirely on the government to make sure that it includes agriculture among the things we learn. Because by the time we get out of it, we all have that hype. I want to get a white-collar job. No one looks into agriculture. And it's because of the mentality that we have. Because we've been to school, it's why we've spent almost all the entire life of ours. So, or a half of it. So the government in that way can help introduce agriculture. That's simple stuff. Agriculture mechanization, the history of agriculture, and some practical part of it. So that when people get out of school, they know where they can start and they don't have that negative bias on agriculture. Two, subsidization of agriculture inputs. Let's look at a young person who is trying to say, whether you're into crops, you'll need fertilizers, you'll need inputs. Whether into livestock, you'll need aquaricide. Me who is into rabbitry, you need the nipples, you need all those. And right now, they're a bit expensive. So the government now can come and play its part, try to remove taxes and subsidize so that it's easier for the youth who don't have a lot of money to try and get into agriculture. That's my second thing. Then on the side of the youth, it's also for them to get inspired and join agriculture. Because now let's have a live example. Our parents, most of them, especially if I use mine as an example, didn't study so much. If you look at my parent and your parent, most of them paid our fees because they were engaged in agriculture. But then times have changed. Now, if times have changed, we can use the times to better the agriculture because we have examples of our parents who didn't go to school, just had normal agriculture, digs a season, digs another one, but they would earn a living. So if the youth have that perspective and mentality that agriculture is good, they can better it. They can make apps, they can grow into hydroponics where you can grow your crops in a house. Everything now is improved and it's a huge opportunity for us as the youth. So the youth have to shed off that bad mentality, embrace agriculture, look at it as a business, and they'll make it. But also the government has to support us in one way or another, get us used to agriculture, and we'll be good to go.
Combination that they actually go for, you would see that most of them do not choose agriculture as a career after secondary school, which is a bit challenging. And according to the education sector or the education system that we're currently having or the curriculum that we're actually following, we are only following these subjects to pass. We only go to school to pass and maybe get some friends. A few of us will definitely go through school to get some skill out of it. And that is why he did actually mention the fact that the government should actually look into the education sector and clearly see how agriculture can actually be used of huge importance. Because believe me or you, anyone who has grassroots in a village setting, we all have our grandparents way back in the villages, deep in the villages. If we're to trace our roots, you definitely agree that all our grandparents actually do have gardens at home in the villages. So Mr. Kato, we get back to you here. I want you to actually give me 3 tips that we can actually use to encourage the young people in Uganda to actually engage in agriculture as we wind up.
Thank you so much. Now, the tip is to let them know that agriculture pays. For example, one of my enterprises, every month, amount per week, I bag profit 500,000 shillings. Now, if I can get 500,000 shillings per week, that makes it 2M areas. Most of the youth
About that we did have him today into the conversation, I would agree. And one of his tips that he's actually mentioning is the fact that the youth out there, if at all you have something that you're earning, do not overlook into the short term, because with time it's going to actually have a very huge produce with time to come. I didn't mention of the fact that if I told you a young man out there and you have your 20,000 shillings out there now at home, you can actually buy yourself a hen. Maybe you go for get yourself a hen and you start keeping it at home. This would actually produce, you get yourself a hen that can actually lay eggs. Within no time, you would be laying some eggs, having a number of hens with you. You can sell off, and maybe have something, you can actually sell off the eggs or sell off the hens as well, or you can actually get something to eat. So we're looking into a picture where you can actually view it in a way. Instead of what we call okusimbula bulirudde, nobanga akasente akatono kofunye wo simbula busimbuzi. You're going to marry for merrymaking, to make, to actually make parties, and this particular party is actually draining your wallet. You should actually spare some of this particular money and create space to actually venture into agriculture. It may not necessarily be keeping hens. You can actually keep a rabbit as well. I've seen a number of young people actually keeping rabbits, and you can actually sell them off, or actually buy yourself a goat. You can buy a goat, a young goat, which is roughly maybe 3 weeks old. You can buy it, keep it at home, try to get some banana peelings for it, or you can actually take it for to grazing actually. So you can actually peel something from the pastures out there in your living surroundings. And these particular things are looking into the long-term aspect of it. A goat can actually go for 300,000. A goat that you actually bought at around 120,000. Within time, and it's quite healthy, and you've kept it for a period of 1 year, 1.5 years, you can actually sell it off for 300,000 or 350,000, and you get into some other business as well. So we are looking into adapting into the agriculture sector. Leave alone the fact that we want the government to come through and engage us into this, but it has to start with us. What do we have towards agriculture? What is our attitude towards it? Do we still think it is for the people who have actually not made it in life? Because most people despise agriculture, the fact that you'll have to dress dirty, you'll have to go into the mud, digging and things like that. But even you can actually keep goats. If at all you have issues with how the public sees you, and it's something that you should actually get out of your mind. If you're a young man out there and you want the best out of your future, because if we're looking in a bracket of 10 to 20 years, I'm going to be honest with you, people don't really care much about how you are. People do want to see your results as a young man or as a young girl out there. We tend to think that in between the 20 to 30 years, people are thinking of what I'm doing, what I'm wearing. People don't really care about it. And people will never ask where you come from. No, people are definitely going to be asking, what have you done to actually change the mentality of yourself? What have you done to change your background? Because you may come from a very humble background and you're portraying it to the environment, to the people, and you're like, you know what, I come from a very humble background. We had difficulty in studying, we had difficult while growing up. Then what have you done for it? It starts with you, because by the time you clock 30, that is the third, your third stage in life. By the time you clock 30 and you're on the third floor, things are going to change. It is up to you now. They're looking up to you. Who knows, you will definitely be having a family now. You're having a wife, you have children to look after. But are you only going to best from the simple things you have? So you start to actually grow a seed at this particular time. If you don't have a piece of land, nevertheless, never mind about it. Get yourself into activities that are actually gaining. Not about agriculture anyways, but start making some simple investments for your own life. Something that has started as a job maybe when you're still 20, may be a very serious business by by the time you make 25. This is just a tip to most of us, to the young people, me inclusive as well, that if at all we want to ever have a very good retirement age, if at all we want to focus more during our retirement age, maybe talk about the 40, if at all we click 40 years. We've seen a number of videos trending online where some of the 40-year-olds are actually challenging the young people out there and telling them, if at all you're 40 years and you haven't achieved this, then you're doomed. Then you need a grace from God. So it is never too late for you to actually engage into something. If you can't try poultry keeping, if I told you can't try maybe rearing some goats, then engage into agriculture or start investing simple investments in any business that you can actually see that it can earn for you. I'm not saying you don't do any merrymaking whatsoever, but look into yourself and see, if at all I spend this money into this activity, how am I going to gain from this activity? Regardless whether we mention about leisure is part of life or mental health and whatsoever that may be, but also look into a situation that obulam tebunyumanga tebuli musente, you know, because you would definitely agree that life without money is definitely a hard one, and you would rather, I did see one of those videos that someone would definitely say that I would rather cry in an expensive car than cry while seated and I have nothing to eat. So you would rather cry when you have a very big piece of chicken in front of you, or when you have some dollars with you, rather than crying when you don't have anything. At least, you know, life hits us differently. But when you do have some money with you, so we're looking into investments, it will definitely come easy for you. So investing is most important for any young man out there, because in these youthful stages is when we still have energy to engage in some activities. Talk about agriculture, for instance. In agriculture needs a number of needs very great you know, investment into it. Investment which is what skills, money, energy, and a lot of time for you to actually focus. So focusing starts with your time that you put into it. Building your attitude to actually set forward and understand the fact that agriculture would be more important for you. Now, for the young man out there who is actually looking into a situation and you're saying, you know, my goal is to actually work in an office dressed in a suit. Well, there's a time you will be dressed in a suit that you won't be dressing a suit for all that long. There will be a situation where you will not be fit for a certain job, and agriculture is an open-minded thing. And also anything that you can invest in. Maybe start up your shop somewhere. I'm looking into a sector where most of us have some money with us, but we still have a very huge challenge when it comes to using it productively. So how do we use this productively? Today we're talking mostly about agriculture, and a gentleman over there, Kato, who is in Isingiro, did say for him he's engaging into a number of things in agriculture, and at least he knows if at all he's keeping his hens, he's keeping his rabbits, he's having a very small piece of land and he's engaging into some you know, growing of some crops in there, some bananas, you know, you have some maize, you have some sweet potatoes. You could definitely see that he's not lacking when it comes to food, and if at all he wants to get some money, he can sell off to the market or he can sell off to his neighbors. So these are some of the things you should look at. If I am investing in something, how profitable is it to me, and how productive is it to myself, and how productive is it to my future? Because we are looking at a generation where most of us are still having difficulty in settling when it comes to this young stage of ours. Most of us have issues in knowing that there's going to reach an age where no one is going to give you money, and the money is supposed to be from you, and it's supposed to be you who is going to be giving money. At an age where your parents have been providing, you reach a situation where your parent is not providing, and it's you to provide to your parent. And a time when you also have children to provide to, and at the end of the day you have nothing to offer, but only to offer very few things, and it will actually be a challenge to you, and it will actually haunt you more because you used your young age in a quite a different way that was not productive at all. So to the young man out there, it may not be agriculture or any other sector, but look at it in this way and try so much as you can to make sure that you develop your youthful stage, so that by the time you head into your retirement age, and you know that at least in my youthful stage, I did enjoy my life. Maybe I went to parties, but at least I invested in something that was helpful to anyone out there. Maybe I made very huge investments when it comes to that, and that will definitely be of help to you. Now, for that particular issue, we leave it to that. In regards to agriculture, we shall definitely be having continuous conversation in regarding to how the youth can actually engage into different sectors in Uganda to actually make sure that they rejuvenate our economy, because they are the young young people, and they are the future. We, the young people, are definitely the future of a nation that is still trying to rejuvenate its economy. For that, Smart Means Business is heading to a closure today. But as we head into it, we have a new week ahead of us. What are you definitely having as your new plans, and what have you laid on course to see that by the end of this week, you're going to have had something new into your wallet? It may not be your wallet, but it may be feeding your brain as well. It is a new week. That means new things come to it. Just the way we get excited for a new year, it should be the same way we get excited for a new week, because with the new week, it means we're coming back to actually change some mode of things. Like we say, teach yourself to learn something every other day that passes by, because a new dawn has to definitely come with new things for you to actually learn. This is Smart 24 TV, where we do definitely drive your business. Follow us on Facebook at Smart 24 TV, on Twitter at Smart 24 TV, on Instagram at Smart 24 TV. How about on YouTube? Get us at Smart 24 TV. Hit the subscription button. Definitely, we're going to be driving your business. Share those links and also give us your feedback in regards to the comments as well. The website is www.smart24tv.com. I'm JORRAM SSONKO on Twitter at JORRAM SSONKO, Facebook at JORRAM SSONKO, on Instagram at JORRAM SSONKO. Do follow me as well, and also give me your feedback when in regards to the business stories that are making headlines in your different areas or in your different communities, as well as we drive these business stories to your comfort over there, whether you're in your living room, whether you're watching television or watching the screen from your workplace. If at all you're also streaming live on YouTube, or whether you are overseas or in the country as well, we do appreciate so well. Now, Smart Means Business that's taken a rest as of today, but we'll do continue tomorrow as well to give you more business stories in regards to the social aspect locally, and as well as from the international aspect as well. So Smart Means Business does end now, and goodbye for now.